Study links drinking alcohol to the risk of dementia. Alcohol and dementia. Sounds familiar.
She's now the political equivalent of marginal royalty from a forgotten European country, smugly entitled, but no one cares. Her crimes: 1, she mistook the cause of terror, blaming Benghazi on a video, seeking a scapegoat instead of assuming responsibility. 2,
Greg Gutfeld, known for turning politics into his own late-night comedy set, went full demolition mode on Hillary Clinton with a takedown that was less a playful jab and more a wrecking ball-level roast. Hotter than a 4th of July grill, leaving the internet buzzing with reactions and proving once again why his brand of political comedy hits like pure.
The idea that you could turn the clock back and try to recreate a world that never was, dominated by, let's say it, white men of a certain persuasion, a certain religion, a certain point of view, a certain ideology, is just doing such damage to what we should be aiming for.
What? Isn't she charming? No wonder Bill spends most of his days perched in a tree outside the local Hooters.
Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe, because you won't want to miss this one. Greg Gutfeld didn't just roast Hillary Clinton. He tossed her political career into a microwave, hit the popcorn button, and let it explode in glorious slow motion, all without breaking a sweat, like a cat casually swiping a vase off the table. Except this time, the vase was Hillary's entire reputation, and the crash echoed loudly across the internet.
back like a sore on a porn star's lip.
Ew.
Complaining on X about Trump cleaning up D.C., she says, quote, "On one hand, Republican officials call themselves war fighters. On the other, they become whiny crybabies at the thought of setting foot in D.C. streets and New York City subways that literal school children navigate every day without incident. Real macho stuff." Then she got off social media and returned to moving a dead body to a park.
Let's be honest, Hillary Clinton built her brand on the belief that she was politically indestructible, strutting into the public arena like the stainless steel of politics, where nothing sticks, nothing dents, and nothing breaks, or so she thought. But then along comes Greg Gutfeld, armed with sarcasm sharp enough to strip paint off a car, and suddenly the once untouchable Clinton machine looks less like a powerhouse and more like a rusty old blender barely held together with duct tape.
In my opinion, the worst thing she's ever said, because we know New York City subways. Kids don't take the subway.
Yeah.
I mean,
and if you do, you're like, whose kid is that?
Yeah, there are men on there who set fire to women, but she's pretending that the people that are trying to reduce crime, that are doing it for themselves, because she's only used to doing things for herself.
The funniest part about this post for me was the fact that she disabled comments on it. Like, oh, what? You wouldn't want to have to see anything unsavory.
The takedown was anything but subtle. This wasn't some polite dinner table disagreement, where everyone smiles and nods. It was a full-blown comedy carpet bombing, with every punchline landing like a sniper shot, delivered by a roast master who'd been stockpiling jokes for years, just waiting for the perfect moment to unleash them. Hillary wasn't just caught off guard, she looked like someone desperately trying to reboot Windows 9.5, while the rest of the world streams on lightning-fast Wi-Fi. And the beauty of it all was how predictable her reaction turned out to be. Instead of laughing it off or clapping back with wit, she doubled down with the stubbornness of a used car salesman insisting the lemon on the lot doesn't smell like old French fries, clinging to her unshakable queen persona and acting as if her crown was still shining. Spoiler alert, it
Weaponizes the argument. I don't even know if that's a word. Is it?
It is now.
It is. She takes a real issue, which is crime affecting the citizens of D.C., and makes it about these war fighters being whiny crybabies, like it's big whiny men.
Yeah, because they want the streets safe for not just them.
Yes.
The children, and not just that, the children who are jacking and robbing everyone.
Gutfeld made sure Hillary's crown lost its shine, polishing it with sarcasm until it looked like a cheap prop from a high school play fake, flimsy and embarrassing under the bright lights. The real thrill wasn't just seeing her squirm, but seeing the difference between Hillary under political fire versus comedic fire. In politics, she can pivot, deflect, and pull the classic "but what about them" routine faster than a magician yanking rabbits from a hat. But in the comedy arena, she's a deer on an ice rink sliding, flailing, and struggling for balance while Greg effortlessly nudges her back onto the slippery surface every time she thinks she's steady. The audience loved it, not just because it was a roast of Hillary, but because it shredded the carefully crafted aura she's built for decades. The inevitability, the power, the untouchable image. Greg wasn't roasting a person so much as he was torching the entire archetype of the over-arpolished, over-calculated politician who thinks charisma can be manufactured in a lab. And with one comedic spotlight, he pulled back the curtain to reveal that the great political wizard was nothing more than Hillary frantically pressing buttons behind a machine no one believes in.
The way her husband treats women, casually disposable. In this age when there's no monopoly on mayhem, we need careful, not careless. 3, she put personal privacy before public security. The way Bill used the Secret Service, she used the Secret Server, both to create a wall between prying eyes. So, no surprise, in a new poll, when Americans are asked what word best describes her, they scream liar, followed by dishonest, then untrustworthy. I think I notice a trend. To Americans, she's less dependable than your cable guy. Meanwhile, as she implodes, Biden basks, a white knight with whitened teeth. But as nice as Joe is, it reveals the sober...
Made the whole spectacle even funnier was how Greg looked the entire time. This wasn't work for him. It was batting practice. Casually smacking fastballs into the stands while Hillary flailed like a little league pitcher watching home runs soar overhead. And every one of those home runs sent the same message. The Clinton era isn't just over, it's a punchline. There's a special kind of satisfaction the public gets when someone finally says out loud what everyone's been thinking for years. And Greg delivered it. Hillary has spent so long in the spotlight that she's turned into a caricature of herself. With the stiff speeches, robotic gestures, and uncanny ability to dodge a question without ever actually answering it. But in the comedy arena, all of that became fodder. Talking points can't shield you when the jokes cut sharper than the policy papers you used to wave around. And the harder she tried to maintain her composure, the funnier it got because nothing screams defeat quite like pretending you're unfazed while the entire audience is doubled over laughing at you.
In Ready Bigfoot, Hillary Clinton told folks in Pennsylvania that she's ready to come out of the woods. So is this the comeback that America wants? You know, we love it when great bands get back together, but not Limp Bizkit, not Hoobastank. Hillary announcing return, it's like the bird flu announcing a return of the bird flu. Or McDonald's relaunching the Arch Deluxe, or MSNBC bringing back Brian Williams. Really? We're living in a reverse episode of In Search Of, where the vanishing creature keeps looking.
And it wasn't just about Hillary's past, it was about her future, too. Greg painted her as the ghost of political failures past, haunting the present with outdated ideas and a tired persona, turning her constant attempts to claw back into relevance into pure comedy gold. The more you think about it, the funnier it gets, because at some point she stopped being a political force and instead became a recurring cameo, the kind of TV character the writers refused to cut loose even though the storyline ended 3 seasons ago. What really sealed the deal was how effortlessly Greg made her the butt of a joke she didn't even realize she was in. She wasn't sparring in a debate or rallying a crowd. She was just standing there while he turned her into a comedy prop. And that's the kind of humiliation that stings the most, because wrapped in humor, it becomes unforgettable. You can argue with an opponent, you can clap back at a critic, but you can't fight a punchline. Clips spread like wildfire, memes flooded every corner of social media, and suddenly Hillary Clinton wasn't trending for speeches, policies, or scandals. She was trending because Greg Gutfeld handed her a public defeat that no press release could spin and no advisor could polish away. She was trending because she got destroyed, roasted, and obliterated. Pick any adjective, they all fit.
Who wouldn't leave? Well, unless, of course, she's running for office. Then she disappears. But she announced she's back in Lackawanna, Pennsylvania. True, she did beat Trump there, but he won the entire state. And she lost it because she was MIA. She thought she had it in the bag. So now she says, hey, you'll be seeing a whole lot more of me. That's the worst thing a loser can say. It's like Rachel Maddow holding up a wad of old government forms she found in a dumpster behind Trump Tower and saying, hey, you'll be seeing a whole lot more of...
The irony is that Hillary has always despised being the punchline, spending decades trying to control the narrative and preserve the image of a polished, competent leader, yet the moment Greg stepped into the ring, all that control vanished. He didn't just challenge her, he rewrote her role in real time, transforming her from the self-styled queen of politics into the unwilling court jester. The fallout wasn't just laughter, it was the sobering realization that Hillary's days of commanding fear or respect may be over. Because if you can't withstand a comedy takedown without looking like yesterday's leftovers, How can you possibly claim relevance in today's brutal, fast-paced political arena? Greg Gutfeld didn't just roast Hillary Clinton, he stripped away the illusion of her untouchability. And once that illusion disappears, all that's left is the bare reality. Hillary thrives in stiff, serious settings, with dramatic lighting and audiences leaning in as if every word from her mouth is history in the making. But when that carefully cultivated seriousness is shattered, when comedy pierces the facade, the whole act collapses faster than a bad Broadway musical.
Proverbial poop hitting the fan. You just heard Brett Baer on the latest news, but will it make a difference? What if the emails found on Weiner's laptop did come from Hillary's server? And what if there were new discoveries that actually had classified info? One of Baer's sources claims that Hill's server had been hacked, as he said before, with information stolen by at least 5 foreign intel agencies. If this is true, how will Hillary beat this rap? With this rap by her...
Greg exploited Hillary's weakness the way a cat zeroes in on the one fragile thing in your house. Just to knock it over, he didn't just go after her record, he mocked the way she carries herself. Clinging to the outdated confidence of someone who still thinks it's 1996 and she's untouchable. Watching her reaction was like watching someone who wandered into the wrong Zoom meeting but is too proud to admit it. So they sit there pretending it's exactly where they meant to be. The hilarity came from how predictable she was under fire. Her strategy never changes. Ignore, deflect, recycle the same talking points until the audience forgets the question. But that doesn't work in comedy, because comedy is instant, raw, and merciless. Greg, armed with jokes sharper than any campaign attack ad, hit harder precisely because his punches weren't wrapped in jargon, they were simple, cutting, and brutally funny. And here's the kicker. Hillary has always been this odd mix of arrogance and fragility, trying to project unshakable strength while visibly bristling whenever she's challenged. Greg put that on blast, magnifying the irritation bubbling under the surface and exposing not just the politician, but the person who hates losing. Every jab reminded people of the political graveyard she's been clawing at for decades, and every smirk reminded them that no matter how many times she tries to reinvent herself, every comeback just turns into another awkward chapter in the never-ending saga of Clinton reinventions that never
be working for Trump. Seriously, that is so bad it could turn Chelsea Clinton into a never Hillary. And sorry, Lena, the gender card has been so played out, it's falling on deaf, pierced ears. Look, if you already hate Hillary, this new stuff isn't going to change a thing. And if you already hate Trump, this isn't going to make you love him. Battle lines are drawn, nothing sticks. But it seems like the truth is now the bull in Hillary's china shop. Remember, Nixon was pretty cocky too, up until he wasn't. Events are now dictating.
Best part was that the audience laughed hardest at the truth hidden inside Greg's jokes, because at the core of his comedy was the undeniable reality that Hillary is still trying to play the same old game long after everyone else has moved on. She's the political equivalent of a MySpace profile. Once groundbreaking, now mostly embarrassing. Sure, she can pretend to be relevant, but the internet has receipts. And Greg waved them around like a magician pulling endless scarves from a hat. What made it even funnier was that Hillary's response was so on-brand she didn't pivot to humor. She didn't clap back with wit. And every flicker of irritation on her face just gave Greg more fuel. He doubled down, fully aware that her inability to roll with the punches made every punch hit harder. It was a masterclass in comedic takedown, not cruel for cruelty's sake, but a roast that exposed the absurdity of power when it takes itself too seriously. Because the truth is, Hillary has always seen herself as the main character, imagining history as a movie where she's the star, but in Greg's hands, she became the comic relief.
Her new foreign policy class changed minds that she's a horse's ass. This week, Columbia University shared a video promoting a new course that's co-taught by Hillary Clinton. Believe me, no one's more thrilled to have Hillary out of the house than Bill. Speaking of Bill, if you're a lady who is a solid 8 or above, he'll tutor you for free. The course he's teaching, how to fit snugly under my desk.
The audience loved every second of it, because there's something deeply satisfying about watching someone who built their entire identity on control suddenly lose it all to the chaos of laughter. The internet did what it always does: clips, edits, remixes. Before long, Hillary wasn't trending for policies or speeches. She was trending because Greg turned her into a walking SNL sketch without even trying. And once the memes start, it's game over. Hillary's been poking her head back into political conversations lately, hinting at relevance and testing the waters like someone dipping their toes into a pool they weren't invited to swim in. But Greg slammed the gate shut and told her the party was over. It wasn't just comedy, it was a cultural eviction notice. And it raised a bigger question. Why is Hillary still trying? The political world has moved on. The public has moved on. And yet she keeps reappearing like an app that reinstalls itself no matter how many times you delete it. Greg tapped into that frustration perfectly, channeling the collective eye roll of a nation that's been listening to her voice for decades and is simply tired.
Now Hillary's class gets rejected. True, even students on the left give Professor Clinton an F. Students in Hillary Clinton's new class says it sucks. Even more than an intern who... you know where this is going. But it's the smartest realization on campus since someone realized you could put vodka up your butt. Thanks, Shannon. Earlier this year, Bill's worser half accepted a professorship at Columbia teaching public affairs. Meanwhile, Bill did offer to tutor some of the female students, but
Because Greg outharged Hillary at was complete because he outfunnied her, proving that power only works as long as people take you seriously. And once the laughter starts, the seriousness dies. Hillary's entire brand has always depended on gravitas, on the illusion of inevitability. But Greg popped that bubble with nothing more than a grin and a punchline, leaving only the echo of laughter in the hollow shell of her image. And here's the brutal truth. Once you're funny for the wrong reasons, there's no coming back. You can recover from scandal, you can bounce back from loss. But when your identity shifts from respected figure to running joke, that sticks forever. Comedy is the great equalizer. And anyone too rigid to adapt is destined to become a punchline. Hillary Clinton just happens to be the latest and most high-profile casualty.
Wisdom onto the next generation on everything from fraudulent land deals to unflattering pantsuits. Meanwhile, students were promised empowering lessons by one of America's biggest losers. After all, who else can teach them how to delete emails and destroy evidence, while also learning how to destroy Libya? But turns out the class is just a bunch of ego-worshipping drivel in front of an audience, unlike her show on Apple TV, which was ego-worshipping drivel without an audience. One disappointed student described her first day as a swarm of several hundred people, a sea of cameras, Secret Service personnel. Sounds like every time Joe makes a boom boom.
Single quotes as the kicker. Deep down, Hillary probably thought she could handle it after all. She's faced world leaders, scandals, investigations. Surely one late-night comedian couldn't shake her. And that's the tragedy of itchy, underestimated comedy. Assuming it was politics as usual where she could pivot, dodge, or stonewall her way out. Instead, she walked straight into a buzzsaw of sarcasm and came out the other side with nothing but bruises and memes. While Greg walked away grinning, the clear victor in a battle Hillary never should have picked. In the end, he didn't just destroy her in the moment, he reminded everyone that comedy will always outlast political posturing.